If I say too much or say something wrong, Patty, please correct me. Okay. Fourth generation Oregonian, went to the University of Oregon, was a duck, is a duck. I guess you never stopped being a duck, right?
Well,
Maybe?
well, especially if we're going to be number one, I definitely will be.
Not a bad idea.
I've waited a long time.
Yeah, it is. Grew up on a ranch near Hefner, and got a CPA from Washington State, and been working in that arena. Currently holds position 3 on the County Commissioner's Board. She and her husband live on a horse ranch, which I guess was always your goal, right? To be on a horse
I've always lived on a horse ranch.
You've always lived on a horse ranch, okay. Prospectively. And that's in sisters. Patty was first elected County Commissioner in November 2018 and was re-elected to a second term in 2022.
Correct.
I think I got my history right there. And we are very, very glad to have you with us today, Patty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for inviting me. I know it was like 4 months ago, I think, when we set this up, and who would have known it was the 13th, and that's not that it's a Friday, but it is definitely when the 13th happens. We were honoring COCC today, 75 years. I think they're one of the leading premier community colleges in the state. And Dr. Chesley could not find the county office to be there, so we're going to reschedule that. But I thought, and they do an amazing program at Deer Ridge. I actually have been to Deer Ridge a couple times. It's half empty. And I had permission from Colette Peters, who was originally ran the prison system in Oregon. Got permission from her to use that for substance use disorder, mental illness. It's half empty, and it's really quite a lovely place. But the welding program that I've seen a couple times is amazing. The 12 participants of that program can leave the prison and actually earn a family wage job. Is that not so important? So that you totally change the recidivism. And then they've added a lot of other programs. So I'm so glad you're going there, and I really, really appreciate it. I was talking to the inmates, and I said, do you guys know how lucky you are that you can actually learn a skill and support a family when you leave, and hopefully you can make better choices. But Ron was wondering about position number 3, and you all are wondering about position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I will address that issue first. And the amazing thing is we discussed it at our meeting this morning. If you want to watch that video, it was probably about 9:10 when it started. County Legal was explaining that there are different ways we can do this. Now, the most important thing is to remember there are going to be 2 people that can file for these 2 new positions starting next September for the May election. But those 2 positions will only be for 2 years, because what we need to do is we need to get it balanced out. It'll be position 1, 3, and then 4 and 5 will be filing next year. And they will have a 2-year term, and the other will be a 4-year term. So it's going to be a little bit complicated. The fascinating thing is that we perhaps need to set up a blue ribbon committee, which will figure out where we divide the county, if that's something that we feel that is really important, is divided, so that not all the elected people eventually, when this all works out, are from Bend, or or they're not all from Sisters, or whatever. I think it's really, personally, it's kind of amazing that right at this moment, Commissioner DeBone is from Lapine. I live in between Redmond and Sisters, and I drive around this way a lot. I go to Terrebonne a lot, and Commissioner Chang lives in Bend. So somehow we accidentally do geographically cover our community, even though the entire community is our responsibility. So it's going to be fun. Do we do 4 part-time commissioners and 1 chair that runs everything? A lot of determinations will be made. We just talked about it today. If you want to dig into those details, it would be great. And if you want to be on that blue ribbon committee, please let me know. Like next week, whatever. I was talking to someone else about it today, and I said, listen, if anybody has any questions, please give them my phone number, because always happy to talk to people about it. I don't know if you all read the Bend Bulletin, but I think it was October 11th, I was actually at an ODOT ceremony, the dedication of the North Unit, and I was there with I had my flat shoes on, you know, we're out on the gravel kind of, and I'm standing there, and I can see there's a wind gust, and it was maybe not as bad as today, I think it's 39 miles an hour today, but anyway, this massive wind gust picked up the pop-up tent. All the mucky mucks from ODOT are there from all over the state. And I have a purse, and I thought it must have weighed 10 pounds because I am trying to get out of the way. I got hit by the tent, but another woman that actually worked for ODOT had a gash out of her head, had to have staples, and was taken by ambulance. Anyway, it hit my nose, and my husband happens to be a retired ear, nose, and throat doctor. Of course he is. So I've got blood massively coming out everywhere. They're trying to clean up and put a steri strip on, and then I remember I'm latex allergic, so it's got to be latex free and this massive bandage. And I'm calling my husband to say, honey, and he goes, pinch your nose and put your head back. Anyway, he did not understand at all what had happened. But it was pretty fascinating, and you know, so, and of course I'm like, they want to drive me to the hospital. The other woman went in an ambulance, and I go, no, 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 I'm a horse person. And when you're a horse person, except it was my own blood, you're fine, right? I had to go home. I had a huge event at my house that night. I had to pick up 15 pizzas at Tumalo at the Pine Martin. So I walk up to Pine Martin, and I have blood everywhere. And my purse actually did weigh 5.4 pounds because I waited later at the doctor's office. So I've got a smaller purse now. Anyway, so I go there, and they go, were you just involved in a murder? And I go, not exactly. This is all my own blood, and you know, whatever. Anyway, they were so kind. They packed all the pizza boxes to my pickup for me. But yeah, that was like, you never know. And they had to file a workforce accident on that because it was workforce. And you won't believe it, but that night, Senator Wyden even called me. And I go like, no, no, I'm really fine, I'm really fine. Anyway, it was unbelievable. And my husband looked at me and said, well, we'll know tomorrow. And then he said, well, who's this Amy? And I go, well, she was the other lady that had to be actually taken by ambulance. And he's like, where were you? Anyway, it was quite the night. And the next day he said he was looking at my nose because it got pretty big. I didn't have black eyes though. And he said, I don't think your nose is broken. So that was the good news. Somehow my guardian angel had me move back enough so that it didn't take my eye out or hit me in the head and do, you know, massive damage. So anyway, you never know with this job what you're going to be dealing with. So that's kind of that was kind of the exciting thing of October. But today, I want to actually let you all know that the county made a determination to help fund Shepherd's House. It's a project in Bend, but it's for women and children, and they have a whole project where they want to buy homes for women and children. We don't have enough. There is Central Oregon villages, but there aren't really enough things just for women and children. And so today, the county commissioners approved that with our ARPA funding. So, yes, Ron.
Can we ask questions?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Of course,
okay.
always.
It's not a question, it's more of a statement. I got to know you primarily through Mountain View Community Development, which offers a safe parking program in town. I was on the board there, and I just want to comment on how incredibly helpful you were throughout all of that process and understanding the needs that we were trying to meet and the unique nature of what we were doing. And I really appreciate your help on that.
Actually, we had a couple lots in Redmond, county lots, that we were going to convert to the safe parking. And this was, I think, in 22. And I went door to door with our property manager, Christy Bollinger, and I. It was like 85 degrees. Of course, I love that temperature. But we went door to door to all those homes, and I left them my card and a note, a personal note, if they weren't home. Please call me if we have any problems at all. And it has been incredibly successful. So safe parking, it's expanding in Bend, and the transition is great. I know Oasis Village has transitioning possibilities now, just looking for great places for people to move to. And then if you have not been to our Veterans Village in Bend, but originally I was the only commissioner that voted to put half bathrooms in each one of the cabins for the people moving in. And Eric Tobiasen, who runs the Bend Heroes program, realized that that was such an important position, extra cost, but you give people dignity. And the first veteran that moved in was actually a diabetic. And he could not believe it that he had his own personal toilet and sink in his cabin. So yeah, it's a great program. I believe we've had almost 40, maybe over 40 now, people that have transferred on from the Veterans Village in Bend. I do the Veterans Parade in Bend, what was it, 2 days ago? But in the summer, I ride my horse in the Redmond 4th of July Parade. So the good news is, I love to do that, and the bad news is I actually just gave my horse to my niece's daughter who's 7, so I'm gonna have to, and I have a bunch of horses you can't ride because they're babies. So anybody hear about a really nice parade horse, please keep me in mind. I know, it's like, yeah, my horse she was really great for that. So love Redmond, what we stand for, and I did find an enormous Christmas tree for Redmond for next month, but Eric is telling me it's too tall. It might be 80 feet tall. So I know that the chamber is looking for a tree right now. So anyway, amazingly enough today, our county assessor, Scott Langton, who is recognized statewide, brilliant man, does a great job. In case you're wondering, the assessed value in Deschutes County, the last 25 years that Scott's been serving, have gone up, assessed value has gone up $24 billion. The market value of that same properties has gone up $73 billion in Deschutes County, 25 years. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So, and they have added, with only adding 2.5 employees in that department this whole time, 25 years, it's gone up with another almost 34,000 different units, different pieces of land. Yes?
What's the population of Deschutes County right now?
I believe it's about 208,000.
280?
208.
Oh, okay.
208, somewhere in there. Yes. So Portland State, sometimes I think they do a lot of population studies, and sometimes I think they get their numbers off. So when I see some things, I go, you always have to read between the lines as, where are we at? I think it's about 208,000. I know I see the sign for Redmond, it's what, 38,000 plus, and yes. And I know Sisters is like 3,800, and and La Pine was the fastest growing town in the state for a while. So, but things, of course, have slowed down a bit. At least real estate prices. I was hearing, where they're cutting now the federal rate, but actually the mortgage rate does not completely correlate with that, and I found that fascinating, that the mortgage rates can be going up even though the federal rate, they're cutting it like 50 basis points. So, how does this all make sense for our world? And it doesn't. So you all know about our wonderful fairgrounds. And the county has been in the process for 20 years trying to flip with the state, the land right over here, and if the state would take the land over there, the 140-acre land swap. Well, of course, they said they wouldn't take our land unless we got all the homeless off of it. So now the good news, the county has stepped up. We have 45 acres within Redmond city limits, and that acreage is going to be used for a managed camp. Hopefully we'll be able to get the people moving off the 140 acres, as I call it, East Antler, moving there, and we can get the property right by our fairgrounds, because when we do that and add another 10 acres, we will have the largest fairgrounds in the nation. Largest. And am I like overly competitive? Yes. And do I want to be number 1 in the nation? Yes. And our fair director actually grew up in LA County, where I used to live. His grandfather ran the Pomona, the LA County Fair, which was like 4 hours from my house at the other end of LA County, because you can drive you can be in a car forever and not go that far. But yes, so Jeff's history is coming from the LA County Fair, and I keep going, Jeff, you are going to be number 1. The impact, the financial impact of the fairgrounds on the city of Redmond, it's just never-ending expansion, tremendous, and I know sometimes we have traffic issues and we have noise issues, and I realize that it's a blend, but when I first was elected county commissioner, one of my goals was to bring like the circuit finals, the rodeo circuit finals back to Redmond. Well, because that's how I get to see my family, because they all compete in rodeo. And sure enough, I moved home to Sisters and the rodeo moves to Yakima. It took me 7 years to bring that rodeo back here, but now we have it. They've just been here for a couple years and they've just signed another 5-year contract. So, you know, and I'd asked Jeff, I said, Jeff, please, I love equestrian events. The more we have here, we actually have a cutting here. All of the top cutters of the nation come and perform, people from Texas, from all over, the end of August, September, right in there. It's really, he definitely has rebranded our fairgrounds. Of course, we have the farewell tour, but he has rebranded our fairgrounds, and so it's good. We're very diverse on the events that are happening there. I feel like it's always, it can be a win-win or a win issue because we don't have enough dates now available. So that's what we hear from people in the community at times. Last summer, or I guess it was a couple of months ago, I actually got to serve on this called Connect Oregon. And one of my jobs, and you all know Senator Johnson, Betsy Johnson, and she's actually, she was the non-voting chair of Connect Oregon that day I was in Salem, and somehow she goes, Patty, you are getting everything you want for Deschutes, for our region, our ODOT region, and it was so much fun. And I go like, I didn't want to say, well, Betsy, I didn't get what I wanted 2 years prior, but we got the $10 million for the airport here for that project, which is, I believe now, what is it, $185 million project where it's going to be 2 stories and you're not going to have to walk outside and up the little ramp and you're going to just get on your plane and it's going to be so much nicer. Anyway, we were awarded $10 million because of that application being so well presented. The Eugene Airport was asking for $13 million, and guess what? They didn't get 0. So I was no,
not that you're competitive or anything.
Yeah, I know. I'm so bad. I mean, she didn't understand. 2 years ago, I had a couple projects. Madras, the Erickson maintenance plant building needed funding, and then the railroad down in Crescent for the mill wanted to improve the railroad, take 600 trucks off of Highway 97, and I did not get those 2 things funded. And I felt so badly because it was in my region, and they were giving $13.9 million to a project in Astoria, and I could read between the lines, and it was 2 really rich guys that had put that together, and they had put hardly a dime of private money into it. They actually, what I was saying got written up by the Willamette Weekly. They had their own private jet and everything. But they did. I said, well, can't we give them 8 so my other 2 projects would be funded? No, that didn't happen. So this time, thank goodness, our region, I believe, was #1. But, yes.
What was it for in Astoria? I'm from there.
Oh, it was for something with ship cleanup, something like that. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think what the project was named, but it was Astoria, $13.9 million, and you could read between the lines, and you know when you yes. So I always love reading between the lines. So, like, what are we really doing here? But no, today actually was a really good day because I'm really happy to support Shepherd's House in the women and children. When I was out here 2 months ago, riding around with Deputy Blaylock, I saw so many women. I saw at least 5 women that day, and I just feel like women are even more vulnerable, and you know, if we can do more to help people that want help, it's great. Just, you know, just like the safe parking program, they've had some really outstanding success, and it just, you know, it just takes attention. And what I've been told is, if you're going to actually help someone, you need to be with them like 4 days in a row. Handing someone a bottle of water once a week is not going to accomplish anything. We have spent millions of dollars on the homeless in this state, and yet we need to accomplish more. And you know, that's like successful programs. A lot of times the counties have to fund them because you don't qualify for the governors. Now she's expanded her definitions. of what can be funded, but originally, we had to fund the safe parking
Yeah.
in Redmond because the state wouldn't do it.
Oh,
So,
it's
yeah.
not, it's not defined as a shelter.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, it's not a yes. Anyway, it's an amazing challenge. Anyhow, I'm thinking that, yeah. Any other questions for me?
Question?
No questions? Okay.
Well,
Yes.
Patty, you talked about perhaps zoning the commissioners. What other options are out there? I mean, some counties have, everybody has a portfolio, some only have one guy that
Runs
acts as
everything?
chair. Some have gone to a manager. What kind of options are out there that you think you might be seeing in terms of the structure of the county?
You know what, honestly, Earl, I think that's too early to determine that because today we were just hearing, Dave Doyle, county legal, said, well, do you want to just have a chair run everything? And that's the way it is in Hood River, but guess what, Hood River County, it's only 28,000 people there.
yeah.
So that's what they have, and then they have 4 people that really don't do much of anything. So, I will want to think about it. I just do feel like geographically placing the positions, I think is really important. Yes, Al?
Commissioner, Clackamas County does a great job. They got 5 commissioners, and I've always liked the way they did it. Is this going to be a charter change that the county, that we all have to vote on when you...
Go to home rule?
Well, we already are home rule, right? And we would...
I don't believe so.
we...
It was voted down in like 2000.
Is it you'll put a proposal together and then it's a charter change and then it gets voted on?
Right. They're trying to determine now, will they have to have 2 things on the ballot? This is all, and we don't have to have it all finalized until February of 26 to be on the ballot in March of 26 when we vote. So, a lot of things were presented today. Every time I hear from Dave, our legal, it's another thought. So, a lot of things you really need to sleep on. Yes.
So who brought this around? I hadn't even heard it was coming about. Who was kind of the genesis, the impetus behind going to 5? And is there any concern about how we're going to be districted so that it flips it 3-2, blue, red? Is that kind of what's going on here?
John Henlon is the person who put together the proposal where he had to collect the signatures. He runs, the Act Something in Bend, right across from the blacksmith over there. And anyway, he put it together, and then he actually is one of the 2 people that's already running for positions. So he really felt like this was something that he wanted to do, and he's stayed with it this whole time. So it has been interesting. Yes.
It's just like, excuse me, so many ballot measures that are put together, and you go out and you get signatures, and it looks like such a great idea. And then when the rubber hits the road, it doesn't manage. I mean, it takes 2 years, like you're going to be, or 18 months, of putting the actual working ideas all in place, and then letting the voters decide how it's going to proceed.
That reminds me of, yes, like
So typical.
Yes, Measure 110, remember that? Yes, let me tell you how many times I testified against Measure 110. We had fentanyl babies born in St. Charles. I was accused of making that up. I'd heard it from a circuit court judge. We had fentanyl babies, they are forever harmed their entire lives. And I was told by Doug Riggs, you all probably know Doug, that no, the legislature wasn't going to change it. And I testified every time I possibly could. The really sad thing is that Oregon used to be at the bottom of the chart. This is per our county epidemiologist. We used to be at the bottom of the chart for accidental opioid overdose deaths. We were at the bottom of the nation, and now we're at the top 10. So it's definitely, we have done some things to bring it back, the deflection program. Hopefully more people are going to get help, get off their drugs. So, but yeah, you're right. It makes it confusing.
It does, makes it very confusing, and I think this committee that you're putting together it's
Blue ribbon.
really, yes, it's really important that all of the different communities in Deschutes County have someone at the table there.
They should, yes.
So I think, you know, this group maybe should be thinking about who does Redmond want?
Right.
And let's be proactive here in doing
No,
that.
you definitely want to be proactive, and yes, we need to hear from people in the community. I think
You
it's
bet.
incredibly important.
Well, Patty, one of the things we've always heard was, given the Open Meetings or Public Meetings Act and all, that it really made it hard for you guys to operate, because any time there were two of you having a conversation, it all of a sudden came under that.
Right. Well, you just don't have conversations.
You just don't have
No, you don't.
conversation.
You don't.
You
Yeah.
don't, and you discuss it in,
Yeah.
it's just like the other day with our health benefit fund. I was the only person that wasn't happy.
Mhm.
And people clearly knew I was not happy, but nobody else voted with me. But
Right.
I was like, excuse me, we just had an internal auditor report on our health benefit fund. Did you all not read that that report? So anyway, yeah, it's, and I just, I was the only person that wanted to save Morel Park, which is an acre park right next to the county. It was 125,000 years old. It's got ponderosas growing, an amazing little park, and they were going to take it down for parking. 3,000 dump truck loads later, and I wanted to save it. And so guess who my partner ended up being was the Source. The Source and I got together, and then the high school kids got involved, and we actually saved that park. So, and I don't give up when I'm the only one if I think it's really important. And saving that Morel Park, it's rustic. I don't know if you all know what it is. It's right next to our county building, but it's between Wall and the Parkway. It's really a special place. Animals go through it all the time. So yeah, sometimes one is a powerful number.
You bet.
Yes.
What do they think that the budget impact is going to be by adding the other two people? What's that look like?
Well, I saw the story on the news that they were going to spend less
Not
money,
really
and
resource.
I was brushing my teeth, and I almost started laughing because I went like, spend less money. Remodeling, adding more staff, and then wages. And then I was thinking about it. I actually, when I was elected, I said I would not take PERS, and I believe I probably saved the taxpayers like $140,000 or something so far with not taking PERS. So all those costs are in there, and it's, they said like maybe 700,000, $1 million. I don't know. We are honestly watching things, how we're spending money now, incredibly closely, because things are really tight. Our courthouse, fortunately, I took the right friend that day. We weren't going to get any funding for the courthouse for the state. Our lobbyist told me on Thursday, Patty, I don't know why, we haven't heard. We had 7 legislators sign a letter. I went to Salem like every month, leaving notes about the courthouse. And so I was told by Representative Vicki Breeze Iverson, Saturday of the Sisters Rodeo, Patty, you better get back over to Salem because I don't think we're going to get any courthouse money. And I went, oh my gosh. So Monday morning at the crack of dawn, I'm driving back to Salem, and I'm leaving Senator Steiner messages on her office phone and with her assistant. Could I have 5 minutes? Could I have 5 minutes? I just happened to take Judy Trigo with me, and Judy had worked in Salem, had a fabulous relationship with Senator Steiner. She came out of her meeting smiling at us. She would have been smiling at me, but she was smiling at us, and we actually got $15 million for our press. I mean, are we like so lucky? So anyway, I was on an AOC meeting for counties, and they were going, how did Deschutes County get any money? Polk County was asking for $22,000. They didn't get a dime. 7 other counties did not get one dime, but because I took the right person, we got $15 million. So it's a blessing. Somebody's always trying to help me.
Other questions, real quick? Anybody?
Thank you all. And I have my cards. If anybody wants my number.
Very nice pen. It's in a box, lost someplace,
That's okay.
but you will get your pen.
Okay. Next time I see you at Coffee Club.
Yeah.
Ron, would you
Take a
and Patty
picture.
like a picture for
Yeah,
her?
we have our
Oh, that's great.
normal
Would that, okay, guys?
photographer now here today.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make sure Barb gets this for her. Oh, and with the flag in the background.
Oh, that's
Perfect.
nice.
Gonna call it coordinated.
What?
There you go.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Patty.
I love your car.
Closing remarks, we've tried, Michelle's tradition, I've tried to come up with a quote of some sort at the end of these meetings that's topical and hopefully on point. When you're in local government, you are on the ground and you are looking into the eyes and hearts of the people you are there to serve. It teaches you to listen, it teaches you to be expansive in the way that you listen. It teaches you to, I think, that the encouragement gives you political judgment. And that was a quote from Valerie Jarrett, who used to work for President Obama. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. It was very good. It was so timely.
I know.
Even if it's
I know, the 13th. Yeah, next time I'm not gonna do anything on the 13th. There you go.